Welcome everyone to my workshop, my masterclass today, Healing Your Money Story. So just a little bit of background about my experience as a coach. I have had a certification in something called Money Breakthrough Method since 2010. And I've been really learning a lot on my own ever since. It's anything that I can get a hold of on the value of, changing our relationship with money is something that's very curious and interesting to me. So this is Diane Sussman, and I'm the founder and CEO of healingintoabundance.com. You can find me on the web. I have lots of good information at my website, so please go there. But in the meantime, this is a special day for me to be able to share with you some of the musings that I've had over the last number of months about healing your money story. So one of the things that makes me very different, I think, and unique in my own exploration of working with abundance and prosperity and joyous flow in one's life is that I'm very much a body person. I'm a teacher of the Alexander technique, and I do energy healing, cranial sacral healing with people. Have been doing that for more than 30 years. So it just kind of gives you a little bit of background about why I value the body so much as kind of a clearing wire for what is going on, how we can listen and really understand through the wisdom of the body, how we can start to change things. So there's going to be a focus in the class today about how we can really listen to our gut feelings. That's in the body, our gut feelings, our intuition, our body wisdom, to be able to calm the nervous system. Now, here's the first golden nugget for you, just in terms of how I feel, how I believe that we can really move ahead so much with our understanding of money when we allow for information to come in through the body. So let's just take a few moments right in the beginning to center ourselves. Come back home to wherever you are. If you're sitting, if you want to lie down for a few minutes, that's fine. And we'll just really take some time to feel into the body as we begin to do our study today. So you can close your eyes for this if you want to, but see if you can bring yourself very much quietly within your body, feeling your sitting bones on the chair if you're sitting, or your whole back on the floor if you're lying down, and give yourself some time to just unwind and let go. Take a few deep breaths in and out. So you're breathing in abundance, kindness, openness, breathing out that anything that doesn't serve you at this time, anxiety, worry, anything that you've had your mind on that hasn't been that helpful for you. Breathe in. So really coming deeply into the body as we begin. Feeling your feet on the floor, releasing those legs. So as if your legs would just release away from the hip joints, over to the knees, down through the shins, down into the feet. Feel that breath easy, even unwinding the amygdala, that emotional center that we have in the brain. Good. And then gently open your eyes. If you're still sitting, then just take a moment to look in the room, feel your anchor. You could see even an object in the room that makes you feel really comfortable, really good. And use that as an anchoring for your whole nervous system. It's kind of a trick in in therapy, in trauma therapy, actually, PTSD clients can find an object that brings them some peace, some ease that they can really tune into and anchor with. And we can let that take place. So just to begin our workshop, I wanted to share with you really how I came upon doing healing work around money. I started to realize pretty much a long time ago that I had in my own history, my own experience, some issues around inadequacy, around lack, insecurity about lack, scarcity thinking. And I was being able to connect that with some of my early childhood experiences, things I was told not only by my parents, but also by the culture that we live in. And things like, children should be seen and not heard, don't have a voice, right? Don't have anything of your own. Give things away to the church or to the synagogue, or you shouldn't have more than other people. Maybe feel guilty about having things at all. Spiritual life is more important than material possessions, that kind of thing. And those are real buzzwords that in a child's mind, they can get pretty confused about, ownership and being able to stand in my own power with life in general, with my ability to speak, but also with money. And it started to set up a set of circumstances for me that I created kind of my own limitations. And that's something that I want to talk with you about today, and actually do some practices to heal that money story and be able to kind of reclaim and transform your inheritance. So let's just begin. That was really my story, and how I got on the journey of really researching what is money in my life, and how can I transform that old experience and really build more wealth and freedom and abundance. So we are meant for that freedom, abundance, and wealth in our lives, but a lifetime of habit. These kinds of habits, the stories that we've heard from others, and how our family was with money, that keep us stuck in looping a lot in the same narrow definitions of possibility. So let's just begin by activating for yourself right now what your own money story might have been as you were young and growing up. So what were the issues? The question is, what are your issues and problems that you have regarding money now? So let's just start with now. What do you feel are your biggest issues? What pops for you when I ask you that question? Are you not making enough money? Can you not seem to save money even though you do pretty well making the money? Do you not know where the money keeps disappearing to? Not doing what you want to do in a job that you're not happy in, so you feel like you have to continue to go to a job that depletes your energy, but you need to keep it for the benefits or for the security that implies. Or that you can't really move forward in your business to see it thrive, and you don't know why. These are some of the questions just to kind of take that in for yourself right now. It starts to bring more of the emotional piece into your awareness and into your body. So let's just notice when we start to ask these questions, where do you feel it in your body? Is it right there in the heart and your heartbeat starts to elevate? Or do you feel it like a knot in your stomach? Where do you feel it in your body? Do your shoulders tighten up and you feel like you're holding just a little bit more tension than you need to, or even holding your breath when we start talking about money? Or on the other hand, does money just flow to you like a river? I mean, do you feel that you're really in the flow of abundance and there's really not an issue here? If that's the case, you may not even need to be at this masterclass. But if there's a little glitch in there, if there's a little problem in there, that's what we're going to start digging into. A little bit of a deep dive today. So I'm going to just start by saying we're too over-identified with the mind. Our mind is spinning when it comes to these issues. We tend to go over and over the same territory and come to the same conclusions because the mind is off in the future or back in the past so often. Right. And the core of those energies are often anxiety and worry. It's a very low level vibration that we find ourselves getting into all the time. The mind is simply on overdrive and it's over identifying with certain things. And that's not your true self. It's not who you really are. So I'm in this moment making a distinction between the mind and the true self. My definition for the true self is how you weave together your physical, your emotional, your energetic, your etheric, your causal bodies and your spiritual being. And they work together for your favor. So your true self isn't just the thoughts. It is not just the overthinking that we tend to do. It's your emotions as well. It's your actions. We make our actions based on some of the thoughts that we have, or the lack of action. So that sense of I can't do this. I'm not ready yet. I don't really have the capacity. I don't want to be visible. I don't want to stand on stage and speak to others contemporaneously about what I am thinking about, knowing that channel is free to come through me. So what stops us? What stops us in our tracks is really what we're wanting to think about in this class. So I want to start talking a little bit about science. There's something in the nervous system, in the neuromuscular system, in the brain that's called the reticular activating system. The reticular activating system is very interesting. It's very interconnected with the actions we take or don't take based on how the brain is processing information. So for our good, that system, that reticular activating system is filtering out a lot of the automatic things that we need to do in life. Say, for example, you have to get in your car and drive to work. You wouldn't want to have to relearn how to drive, every single time you got into a car. So that's one just simple example about how your RAS, your reticular activating system is working for your good. It notices when you focus on something. So as you focus on something, that's what bubbles up into the brain and your attention gets focused on that. So that RAS system is actually helping you to push all the automatic behaviors aside so that you can actually focus on something. And this is really good news for increasing your money bubble, your ability to hold wealth and abundance and prosperity, because we're no longer in that chaos of mind where you're in an anxious state of having to take care of everything. You can really focus on breaking through something. So it's no surprise that the coaching program that I took in money is called the breakthrough method, the money breakthrough method, because we need to break through old habits and ways of being. that have kept us in kind of one mode of how we're working with money. So the definition of money that I most appreciate and love is that money is energy. Everything is energy, and money is part of everything. Money is energy, and it's a currency. It's literally, well, we call money a currency, but it's like a current of water or the river. So we want that river to flow. We want it not to be blocked. In fact, the giving and the receiving have to both be there. You can't just overgive. You can't just overgive and think that your energy won't be depleted. It will be depleted. But likewise, we can't just sit around and wait for somebody to take care of us. So that would be just making the assumption of, well, I'm just, I deserve it. I'm gonna receive, because most likely as an adult, that's really not going to work for you very well either. So we want to find a balance in the same way that we want our body and mind to be in balance, so that we can really open and expand our container to really feel and experience more. Even the whole universe is made of energy and frequency. I've actually I bought a beautiful little microcurrency frequency device that tunes into and can customize your information field and your electrical field, how the electrical energy goes into all of the cells, so that if there's a need for balancing or rebalancing your system, the programs can be made that really go in carefully and start to promote a higher frequency within your system. It's called Healy, Healy, and it's about this big. It's a very small little contraption. So if you go to my website, healingintoabundance.com, you'll be able to read a little bit about the Healy and maybe get one for yourself. They're amazing to heal many things on the emotional and the physical level. Goes into all the organs to balance, refreshing your system, releasing old patterns and ways of being, even learning programs. So I'm a little bit digressing in there, but just so you know that there's a lot of technology in this day and age that's really working in the quantum field, in the energy, in the informational field that we are holding. So we're starting to be able to affect change through, these other kind of supports and devices that are really going to help you. Also, things like meditation, yoga, running, even, if you get to the gym and, do a nice workout, do a big workout, all of those things are going to increase your energy and, bring more circulation, more blood to your brain and your system, and clear a lot of the toxins out of the body. So, there's many ways that you can support growing this energy field within you and increasing your vibration. So now the opposite of that is when our nervous system, as a major player, is not really working in your favor. And that's what I was talking about in the beginning of the session, where it's like when we allow our minds to, get carried away and we get hyper focused on one thing, say, I can't pay my rent this month, or, I lost my job, or, COVID totally threw me for a loop. All of those things that can lead to more worry and anxiety. Those are things that we want to really take a good look at, because those thoughts are leading to actions. And because the nervous system is being so charged, it actually creates a negative loop where you're not as able to have the security and the calm in your nervous system that that we would hope to have. So anything that you can do that reduces that anxiety will be of great value to you. And really a little goes a long way, so that you're finding a way to not react to those thoughts that can really pull you down and keep you, stuck and caged. So just to say a little bit more about when you're stuck, it actually leads to a lack of access. And it's a lack of recognizing your possibilities that might be unfolding and circulating, because you don't even recognize it as a way to be with money or wealth, because you're so used to living in that, in that negative cycle. And when we're talking about healing our money story, we really have to go back and research some of the childhood stories that we've created and be able to heal them. So you have a real healed vision of your life and your future. And it really opens up and balances your energy field and starts to bring you to a whole higher level of working with yourself. It's like, these are the kind of things that are happening in the moment that you can tap into and recognize that kind of thinking and those negative, they're not negative thoughts exactly, they're worry thoughts. So, you're not trying to do anyone harm. It's just that it pulls you in and pulls you down into a lower vibration within your own self. And by the way, this energy that we're talking about is not run, the high energy is not run by the ego. And remember that the ego is here for a good reason. It's keeping you intact. It's keeping your personality intact. And you're hardwired from ancient times to take yourself seriously and not be hurt. So that when that ego alignment, when it comes in, it's telling you not to take action. It's telling you that it's not safe to take action. So all of those things that we've been doing over time, they keep keeping you stuck, and it's in the subconscious mind that we're held or held hostage, really, to our own fear. And what we want to be able to do is push through and get through that. So what I want to say to you today is you have permission. You have permission to get through that, to move through that. And just to know that it's some of those old patterns, thoughts, behaviors, attitudes. Those are the thoughts that are keeping you small and afraid. So they may take the form of the following. Rich people are selfish. Money doesn't grow on trees. I got that one a lot when I was growing up. You have to work really hard and sacrifice for your money. So it's this feeling of like trudgery. You're always trudging up the mountain and never getting out from under. You have to save your money and work hard. Have you ever heard the story? This is a big one that I had in my life. Now, why should you have these French fries? Don't you see that your little brother and sister are going to be deprived because you get extra? So it's kind of pitting children against other children and guilting us about wanting anything, right? And all of this erodes our self-worth. All of this erodes our sense of deservedness. And it's getting back that self-worth and that feeling of deserving that's really, really going to start to raise our energy and our vibration. Okay, so one of my teachers, the one that where I got my certification, said, your net worth is connected to your self-worth. Your self-worth is connected to your net worth. And as you feel more solid and secure, and that you can like really push and move yourself out of your own, box, and do something different that might be scary, that's where you're going to start to have the value and the appreciation. And this is all back to science. This is all back to how our nervous system actually works. So let me speak a little bit about your nervous system in a moment. We have two parts of the nervous system. One is called the sympathetic nervous system, and one is called the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, so when we are in a state of calm and ease, we're actually in our parasympathetic nervous system. We're in a resting and a digesting phase. Everything's okay. You don't have to like suddenly, step up and run from the tiger, right? You don't have, your nervous system is not put in that sympathetic state until something actually triggers it. So once it's triggered, then you're in fight, flight, or freeze. So fight and flight are easy to understand because, if you think of an animal like, or a deer in the headlights, right? The deer is freezing and then making a decision about whether they're going to fight or flee. So that's usually a momentary decision. It's hardwired in all of animals to behave that way. But with humans, we're being triggered on a regular moment by moment basis into our sympathetic nervous system based on the information that's coming to us. And we don't know how to react to it. So what we do instead is just, muscle tension and, nervousness, stress. It's really the definition of stress. So what we want to be able to do is find the gap, kind of move into a momentary pause so that we're not automatically going into fight or flight. We're not automatically dealing with that situation. The freeze stance experience in the personal experience is usually come for being triggered over a long period of time and no longer being able to respond properly. So it's like a shutdown of the system. And if you've seen people, or if you're yourself, unfortunately, someone who's experienced a lot of trauma in their lives, that's a way of responding to the stimulus. You can't do anything. You're not being proactive. You're certainly not taking your power and opening to another, better condition for yourself. You're shutting down, and there's a nerve, one of the 11 cranial nerves. It's called the vagus nerve. Vagus because it's called the wanderer. It's the longest nerve in the body, and it goes, from the brain all the way down into the lungs, into the stomach even. So it's very interconnected to all of your organ systems, and it's going to affect you in a big way. That's how we can have a gut reaction. Actually, that vagus nerve, when it's working properly, is keeping you healthy and calm and being able to activate in a proper and ordinary way. And this is the place in which you're going to feel relaxed enough to be able to have more control and power over your money, right? Over all of your experiences, your relationships, your money, your health, your happiness, right? So it's it's a way of when we start to be able to change those patterns that have kept you in the freeze condition, you'll start to see that your life is opening up a lot. Okay. So just take a moment and collect my own thoughts about where we're going to go next with this. So here's our first secret right out of the gate. You need to nurture that part of yourself that is hardwired to keep you from going out of the lines by doing something it perceives as dangerous. And that's what I've been talking about. We need to relax the nervous system. And it's all of those things, including the nervous system, our thoughts, our feelings, our activity, that we can reference back into the wisdom of the body and do that calming action that can start to make a very big difference in our lives. Okay, so you have to start noticing how you're feeling, what emotions are coming up for you when you're in a certain experience, and how that matters, right? That calming takes place because you start to interface the ability to affect some change on that level. And it requires nurturing. It requires listening and giving time to and appreciating that part of yourself that needs to protect you. And this is really not abstract. It's very personal and very much in the moment. We're wishing for you to get out of your default mode, which keeps you in the box and it doesn't allow you to do anything different. Okay, so let's just take this moment again to do a body check-in. I'll take you through a little process. So take a moment for yourself. And you can close your eyes for this one too, and just really feel into your breath, feel into your body. Notice if your shoulders are a little tight or if you're holding your breath at all. And take some time to feel your feet on the floor. Take some time to feel the support underneath your sitting bones where you're sitting. And then I'm going to just ask you a few questions. Do you feel worthy of creating and keeping money in your life? Do you feel deserving of creating and keeping money in your life? Did someone in your life disallow you from power or ownership of money? Was it your father, your mother? Or even in that cultural, children should be seen and not heard as a disempowering statement, which is really power over and not power with. And do you realize that this was a very intentional plan to keep power away from you? And even though you've worked long and hard to overcome that history, it is still on some level unsafe for you to hold power. Next, think who grabs the check at dinner. Do you defer to others? Do they not allow you to participate? And why? What comes up for you when this happens, when you have this memory? Or the opposite, are you, grabbing the bill yourself and paying even though you know that you don't have the extra money in the bank to do so, and that would throw your budget off for the month? So these disempowering situations start to lead to longer-term patterns. And those patterns further disempower you from your own heart. So feelings like worthiness, permission, control over your destiny are given over to someone else. And you can open your eyes now. And just notice again, let's notice if you're holding any tension because of it. It's been studied scientifically that the amount of money you made is an indicator of how you feel about money. And you may feel, even after decades, that there's a certain insecurity and vulnerability that you're having around money. So I want you to start to journal about this, to write down when you notice that you have certain attitudes that kind of bubble up out of nowhere. You may not even know where they come from. Remember, a lot of this is coming from most of this is coming from our subconscious mind. And that subconscious root is the root of your relationship with money. So now let's deconstruct what money actually is. As I said before, money is currency. It needs to flow. Your giving and receiving needs to be in flow. So too much giving without receiving is not good. And too much receiving without giving is not good, because it stops the current. And there's a universal law called the law of circulation and the law of reciprocity, two laws that bring you back into the game. And it really helps to see you starting to bring more money into your bank account, for example, to feel and give more generously, to feel like it's yours to give. And there's a real secret here too, because sometimes just in order to unlock that flow, if you feel like nothing's been coming in, giving $1 to someone on the street who really needs it can open up that flow and unlock that current again for you. So you begin to take more chances and feel that strength and that belief in yourself, that you can give yourself the support and help that you need, whether it's in hiring a coach or a massage therapist because you've been feeling tense, or giving yourself a spa day at home, taking a day off work, a wellness day off work where you really take good care of yourself. Walk in nature, take a bath, do good and kind things that for yourself, that are going to bring your energy up and bring more relaxation into your day. So then do something specifically focused on money. Remember, we were talking about the reticular activating system. We want to really bring our focus to what it is that we're wanting. Everybody's probably heard at this point the law of attraction, that what you focus on increases. And there is something really beautiful about that universal law, because you're back in the driver's seat of through making a decision for increase based on what you're focusing on. And that could be through affirmations. That works really well for some people, but it could also be just looking at your negative thoughts, the thoughts that go running through your brain over and over and over again, and that you can stop that pattern. So it's a real position of power that you put yourself in when you can do both things, both focus on what you want more and begin to log in or journal or just simply notice when you don't have any more bandwidth. All of the thoughts are anxiety thoughts, so you don't have calm thoughts. And we want to really increase the calming nature of your ability to make to even see differently, to see different decisions and new things. In the marketing world that I've been part of, maybe the last decade or so, there's a term that has come up, and it's called the shiny object syndrome. And that is a really interesting psychological tendency to, number one, allow yourself to be distracted by things. And number two, think you don't have enough to work with. So you always have to find something else, or a teacher that's saying, that's saying it differently, or saying it better than you could say it. Or, again, it's part of that self-concept, or lack thereof, that says, I'm not ready yet. I need to know. I don't know enough yet. I'm not saying it right. That we tend to sabotage our potential and give up before we even start, because we don't believe in ourselves. And how can we, when the ego mind has been spending so much time keeping us small and safe, and otherwise we would not even be able to see what is right in front of us that would lead us to the next step and the next step. So, as you open that flow and be willing to, give from your heart, from the coffers that you don't even think that are filled, but you still give, you're starting to open up that flow. And then maybe because your energy has gotten a little bit higher, you'll go into Starbucks and order a coffee, and they'll give you an extra something. And, you'll see that abundance is really completely available to you. Maybe you'll walk down the street and, and something will come to your mind that you'll, open the door to. And that could even lead to another, bit of income coming in for you. So it's like you've opened that flow simply by giving $1 to a homeless person. And before you know it, your whole energy field has opened. That's what I'm talking about. So one of the things that I want to bring us back to after all this talking is simply to come to standing. We're going to do a little body exercise again. So I want to have us all come to standing. I'm going to do it on the side because I don't have a lot of room here. You may not either, but I want you to bring your hands to your pelvis, so the top part of the pelvis where you can feel those bones. And then just kind of bring your hands in front onto the belly, and maybe the back of the hands down to the sacrum area. So this whole area is what we call the second chakra. And it's in the chakra system, it's just above the tailbone. It's in the belly. It's in that whole area of the pelvis. And we can start, this is the place energetically where you hold the energy of abundance and creativity and fertility and goodness, like just solid sense of grounding and being. And what we're going to do is take very, very slow circles all the way around. I learned this from a money coach, an abundance coach, not too long ago. But I, of course, being a dancer and a body person, I've already been well steeped in movement around the pelvis area, but she just had us move so slowly. And I just loved that process. So I'm going to slow it down even more so you can really feel, and try to go to like the full length of your experience here, so that you're really feeling all of that movement, just kind of opening up. Now take it the other way, moving around and around. Should feel really good. Let your breath be part of it. That's right. There's a Qigong exercise that I do called swimming dragon. I'll teach that to you sometime, but it's kind of got the same plan in mind where we're really letting your spine and pelvis move and your energy start to flow. I love this one because it reminds me of a river flowing. That's a little bit more complex, so I'll save that to another day, but this movement of the pelvis. You're standing and breathing and moving. Yeah. Beautiful. And just know that this is going to impact your well-being and impact your ability to create a larger container for yourself. And that's really what we want to do here too. So one of the first coaches I ever had, excuse me a second. One of the first coaches I ever had, Suzanne Evans, used to have this quote, and she said, "The way you do one thing is the way you do everything." And so if you can highlight and focus on one thing, you're going to be able to affect everything in your life. And she was a big marketing coach and quite a successful entrepreneur. I actually met her in the first year of her teaching. I think this was back in 2009. And because she lived in my town, and she started to give classes offline before, everybody took things online. But her point was very similar to what I'm talking about. If you allow yourself to embody, to hold within the body, and start to change your attitude and your way of being with one thing, it's going to affect everything in your life. It's kind of the example that I just said about when you give $1 to a homeless person, your energy has changed. You're affecting your own energy. You've changed your energy, and you're affecting your whole self, and you're in the well-being of your whole self. And remember what I said in the very beginning, that I make a distinction between the mind and the true self. Your mind can go spinning around very easily because we're so caught in the past and the future. But as you bring more wholeness to the true self, you're just taking that time to listen. And it's listening both to your gut, your body, your gut reactions, and you're also listening through your inner wisdom. So it's an internal thing. We're working with energy management, both internally and externally, right? So how you do money is how you do everything. How you do relationships is how you do everything. How you declutter and take care of your home is going to affect everything else. So there's a beautiful ancient art, Chinese art, called Feng Shui. And I've dabbled a little bit in Feng Shui myself. That's why my desk, the control center of my entrepreneurial world is facing outward, so that I can see my front door, I can see my front windows, as opposed to facing the wall. I used to have this desk facing the other way. So all I saw was this wall behind me, and my back was to the front door. So what happens in Feng Shui is it's like you're literally turning your back away from your potential, what can flow to you. So the energy flow, everything is energy, and the energy flow really makes a difference, especially if we can make our reticular activating system work in our favor by bringing more awareness and attention to what it is that we're that we're creating, because it is going to filter out all the other, noise, so that you can focus on bringing more in. And what you focus on grows. That is the law of attraction. Okay. So the last thing that I'm going to talk about before I take you into an exercise is about relationships. And relationships are exactly the same as how we focus on money, how we focus on our health and our body. So when we are looking for the familiar in relationships, because that keeps us safe, it's like what we always knew, we're going to repeat the same patterns. So we're going to find the same, if you break up with one person and look for another partner, you're most likely, if you haven't done the inner work, you're most likely going to find someone very similar that has some of the similar patterns as your old partnership. So so you simply can't get out of those circumstances unless you learn to break the pattern. So breaking the pattern, I actually have a whole masterclass on how we can use movement to start to shift our energy. And I think that was in one that I did in January of 2023. If you look at my YouTube channel, you'll be able to find it, where I got people up and moving in order to break the pattern. So just, to give you the details, we won't go through it today, but to break the pattern is you start by writing down a few things about what you think must be true, about your money, about your work, the limitations. You're really going at those limitations. And you write something that you actually believe that you can't get ahead because, X. And you write 2 or 3 of those down. And then you take the paper with you when you get up and kind of dance with it. And you say that, that phrase that you just wrote down number of times over and over, and then you stop. And you break the pattern. How do you break the pattern? You break the pattern by going to a different level. So if you've been walking, maybe you'll crouch down and, and do like a dance of some kind, or you'll go way up on your tippy toes, like you're breaking the pattern in space too. So the whole idea is, as you're breaking the pattern, when you go back and read that limiting belief, or that, that what your mind has decided was true, you realize that you've just broken the pattern. It's no longer true. So it's a really cool thing to do. And you're very active in the process. So I've been studying the Course in Miracles this year. I've been studying, Marianne Williamson has a beautiful daily practice where she reads the workbook for students. And in the Course of Miracles, it says that a miracle is a change in perception from fear to love. And it is the movement without distance from the head to the heart. I'll say that again, that a miracle is the shift in perception from fear to love. And our mental patterns, our mental thoughts that we keep doing over and over again are very much in the mind. But we want to bring them into the body for sure, but definitely into the heart, into the belly. So it's that movement without distance from the head to the heart that makes all of the difference. And then what you start to see in your world is something a little bit different. Your energy has changed. You're bringing yourself more fully into the process. You're allowing yourself to listen and to behave a little bit differently because of that. So you're changing the internal environment. You're changing the movie, right? The movie, that reel that's always been going on insistently within you, that you get to start to change it in kind. So you're really, really making a transformation within yourself as you do that. Okay. And just remember that your subconscious is holding 90% of your beliefs, and they're limiting your possibilities and your potential. So this kind of energy work releases that past consciousness from literally from your DNA, from your auric field in your DNA. And you become a more clear laser beam of light, beacon of light, after ridding yourself from all that stagnant energy. And you vibrate higher. So I had one coach that I didn't work with her privately, but I took some classes, and she said, you're always looking for the frequency of love or above. And they've charted energetic frequencies. So, fear and, hate and all, they're pretty low frequencies. As you climb up the vibrational scale, you get to some pretty high frequencies of freedom and contentment and love. And love vibrates at 528 hertz, according to, the studies that have been done. So love or above. And you become very laser focused on and fine-tuned in just making those choices to be more intentional, like a divining rod for your heart's desires. Okay. So take a moment. I'm going to give you a moment actually now to find a piece of paper and a pen. And we're going to do an exercise to end our class today. And this exercise is an exercise I learned in Money Breakthrough Method. It has very much about transforming your healing your family relationship with money. Excuse me. So you're going to just start, if you have your paper, and I'm going to ask you the first question. It's the same question I asked you at the beginning of our class. What are your issues and problems regarding money? Just write down the first thing that comes to your mind. Whatever you think they are right now. Next question. What is the money story that you grew up with? And how has that shown up in your life? And now, what is the core underlying money belief within that story? And who in your life do you think that might be connected to? It's in the story. Was it a positive? What were the positive intentions that they had for themselves? This is a little trickier question, but you want to connect with why, in a positive way, they may have had that core belief or that story. And here's the last question. What is there to love or be grateful for? In other words, what is there to forgive in that story? in your own time, and this is for your homework, I'm going to ask you to write a forgiveness letter to help you release any negative emotion that you might have been carrying with this story. And just remember that forgiveness is a gift you give yourself, not the other person. It doesn't mean that you approve or agree with what happened in the past. And then after you finish writing this letter, I'm going to recommend that you either tear it up or burn it. So just like release the energy of that letter. You're never planning to send this letter. And just so you know, the material that you're going to get for this letter is going to come from the answer of the questions that I just asked you about the money story that you grew up with. Okay, so that's the end of our class for today. And I do welcome you and invite you to think about taking my 6-week private Heal Your Money Story course. It's all private work, but we go through a number of inner energy management and external energy management processes, and where you really get a sense of where all of these money issues, glass ceilings, stuck within, with money issues, all of those issues, where they started. And then we take it fully and finally of coming into your own power with money. So within that, there's a lot of strategy and ways of getting out of debt. Beautiful, beautiful process for getting out of debt, of creating a system in which you're really observing your money and coming in control of your money so that you can make more and keep more. A lot of people make a lot of money, but they can't keep it. And that often is connected to your money story also, your family legacy and your money story. All right. And the way you're going to find that is to go to healingintoabundance.com and go to the shop, my shop, and it'll have that program within the shop. Okay, so I thank you so much for being present and staying with me to the end of this workshop. Once again, my name is Diane Sussman, healingintoabundance.com, and I send you lots and lots of love and joy and happiness and a lot of fun as you explore some of these subconscious issues. All right. Take good care, and I will see you very, very soon.